first time. Who is Sarah Ochwada?
Sarah Ochwada
is
a lady, first and foremost.
And you look lovely, by the way.
Thank you.
You look very nice.
I don't know, for those who are not seeing me.
And the colors are, more or less sporty.
I had to make sure I represent sporty in its colors.
Yeah.
But yes, my name is Sarah Ochwada. I am a sports, entertainment and fashion lawyer. I practice these very specialized areas in law, although that was not my beginning. My heart was in fashion before my parents told me to get a bit serious and have something I can fall back on. So I've been falling back for almost 14 years with my law degree. Beyond that, I am an arbitrator and a lecturer in sports and entertainment law. I taught at Strathmore University Law School. Hilda was apparently, she reminded me, one of my students.
So this is more or less a lecture.
It's a reunion. Yes, so, after a long time.
So Hilda will help me with some of these provisions I will try and explain to you guys. And I also have my own consultancy firm where I assist in representation of athletes, sports people, federations. Beyond that, currently I am the FKF judicial body committee member for their disciplinary committee, and I also serve as the vice chair of the FIFA Football Tribunal's player status chamber. So a lot of stuff going on.
A lot. We'll get into that. And maybe something interesting that you've just mentioned: sports, entertainment,
and
fashion.
Yes.
How do they intertwine?
So they're all very related. Sports in itself is a product which entertains us. But within these two domains, you have a variety of factors which are combined. Contracts, intellectual property, regulation, commercial aspects. All that forms part of sports and entertainment. Although sports is more organized than entertainment. Entertainment, I find, is like the wild, wild west. It's pretty much every man for himself and God for us all. In fact, sometimes I wish that sports could grab a little bit of the entertainment sides of being bold, putting yourself out there, learning how to package yourself, especially if you're an athlete. I find musicians do that very well, musicians and actors. But again, I wish musicians and actors had the discipline of sports people. Of you wake up every morning, you have a schedule, you have to practice A, B, C, D. So they lend to each other, but they're also a very interesting yin and yang. And then when it comes to fashion law, so I'm also the founder of Sports Fashion Law. This is a very new and unique area which I am starting. Because every sport has its own unique code of dress. But behind this code of dress, there are certain rules and regulations. For example, if you're an athlete on track and field, your track kit or your track uniform cannot have big fat sponsorship labels. They have certain rules which determine how big the sponsorship label should be, the kind of fabric you use for your kits, even the shoes, and maybe we can discuss this later. Some shoes can be considered to be like doping, essentially, like technical doping. So you have to have permission to use shoes which are not prototype in order to run and not to be called a cheat or a manipulator.
It's a certain standard.
So that's one of the things. And then in football, it's been very interesting. Even the rules about having two kind of kits, away kit and a home kit, but also sponsor obligations and how sometimes if you have one sponsor in a category, let's say your sponsor is a beverage company for your club, but there's a different beverage company which is a sponsor for the overall league. How do you handle that conflict? So that's everything that sports fashion law is about. We're bridging the fabulousness of fashion with the rules of sport.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. We'll get into the nitty-gritties of that. But let's rewind. What just happened, I think last week.
Yes, let's go.
CAF awarding Morocco the AFCON 2025. A lot has been said. People have had different opinions. In fact, so many usiku wa manane
like a thief in the night. True.
Ni kama tarumbeta ililia. In fact, we have had so many lawyers.
Yes.
And some are trained. Most of them are not trained to be lawyers, but having different opinions in regards to that decision that CAF came up with. According to you, was it the right decision? Okay. And why did they get into that decision?
So I will give you an opinion, which is not my personal opinion, but based on how the regulations are interpreted. So we have two differing interpretations of the AFCON regulations. The initial interpretation by the disciplinary committee did not see or did not view Senegal's walking off as abandonment. They just considered it to be match interruption, and they punished them or they give them a penalty based on the fact that they walked off. Period. However, because you have a right to appeal any decision which you are aggrieved by, you have the appeal committee of CAF, which Morocco went to and filed their case. And I think now this is where the difference comes in. Whereas the disciplinary committee considers walking off to be an interruption, the appeals committee considers walking off to be abandonment. So why it's causing such a big issue is people are saying, what is abandonment and who can actually declare a match to be abandoned? A lot of people are saying the referee's decision needs to be respected because the laws of the game tell us that the referee has the final say when it comes to the play of a game or the match. And the referee actually has a lot of authority because the referee has certain powers given to him by the laws of the game. He can start, stop, suspend, and even order a match to be abandoned if the conditions for abandonment exist. However, that's calling it a status of a match. A referee can say this match has been played to completion or this match has been suspended, and it will be played on another day, taking into account which minutes have been left for playtime or stoppage time. But also he can declare there exist circumstances by which now we can actually say this match cannot continue at all. Okay, so that's that. The status of the match declared by the referee. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, there are certain types of conduct within the disciplinary rules or disciplinary code which can be viewed as classifying that act of walking out as abandonment by a different committee and not the referee. So you're looking at difference of opinion between are we applying the laws of the game strictly, or are we going to allow the discretion of these individuals who form part of a committee to interpret the rules according to what they think an offense is, regardless of what the referee says. And now some of the things which will come out is, doesn't that now put into question the definitiveness of a referee's decision and certainty of the outcome of a sport or a game or a match? So that's why we're having such a heated debate. Whether or not it's wrong is not something for me to say, because you will have varied opinions on the subject matter. That being said, now Senegal has an opportunity to appeal the appeal.
They've got it cast now.
So now what a lot of people don't understand is, what is this CAS? CAS ni CAS ama ni whatever. So CAS is the Court of Arbitration for Sport. This is like the supreme judicial decision-making body in the sports world. It's located in a place called Lausanne in Switzerland. So how CAS comes into this picture is because sports rules and regulations are so specific to sports, you can't take these issues to an ordinary court of law. Because can you imagine if it's Senegal versus Morocco and Senegal says we are going to appeal in our own high court? How? Because it's not Senegal which comes up with the laws of the game. So you need a custodian of laws and rules, and also a judicial system which will consider the rules of the game and now give you a decision based on the specificity of rules of this sport or the nature of it. So the Court of Arbitration for Sport comes in as now the Supreme Court for the matters being handled by CAF. Now CAF has, as I've mentioned, the disciplinary committee, the appeals committee, but if you're aggrieved by the decision of the appeals committee, you always go to CAS, the Court of Arbitration for Sport, to see whether or not you can overturn the decision which you are aggrieved with. Now, one of the things CAS is going to have to determine for us now, definitively, is whether or not walking off is abandonment. Or why did the appeal committee consider walking off refusal to play? Because now that brings about the aspect of, was their refusal a protest, or was it a permanent behavior indicating that we're not coming back on the field of play? And yes, you will get very many lawyers, and substitute lawyers,
and those who just got trying to get into law.
ChatGPT lawyers, everyone will have an opinion. But let's wait and see what CAS comes up with. It might take a while. Because of the processes that you go through. You don't just walk into CAS and then get a judgment in 2 days. There's a whole process behind CAS.
And how is CAS constituted?
So this is very interesting. So the Court of Arbitration for Sport has an administrative body. Now the people who receive the applications and all that. So that's the Secretariat. But they have what is known as ICAS, the International Council of Arbitration in Sport, which is like the board of CAS, which enables CAS to get the funding or the direction in which they can now be able to offer this service of judicial review or adjudication for the rest of the sporting world. Now, aside from ICAS, you have arbitrators, CAS arbitrators. You have to apply to become a CAS arbitrator. But CAS arbitrators come in 2 lists. You have the general list of CAS arbitrators, meaning they can listen to various different types of sports disputes, anti-doping, commercial, disciplinary, things like that. And then you have even more specialized arbitrators who form the football list of CAS arbitrators. So even when it comes to AFCON, the choice of arbitrators is going to be very important. Whether they draw or draw from the pool of the general list or from the pool of the football list. Because if you're from the football list of arbitrators, it means your expertise is very specialized. So they're the ones who will now be able to scrutinize these regulations and scrutinize the judgments which came out from CAF and come up with the jurisprudence for us to read and see the way forward. So that's CAS in a nutshell.
Absolutely.
Yes, and maybe just one of the arguments that I've seen in terms of just the match. First of all, I remember asking Kwanyo when you're having this conversation, when this judgment came through, I was like, now somebody has now to define for me what abandonment means, because that is where the contention is majorly in that, and Absolutely. I think you have defined it better. But there is another argument as well in terms of the team, that is the Senegal, some of the players did move from the pitch, but not off the ground. Kindly explain to us just what that means.
This has been the hot piece of debate of what is the difference between leaving the pitch and leaving the ground? Because the regulations specifically are talking about if you leave the grounds, then that is abandonment. But the way the appeals body has interpreted the rules is that they left the pitch. That in itself is an offense because you left without the permission of the referee. Not so much that you left the grounds, but you left for 15 minutes without permission of the referee. Now, my thinking is this. what was the intention behind them leaving the pitch? Was it to protest, or was their desire not to come back? Because now once your behavior or your conduct implies that your desire or your intention is not to come back to continue the game to its proper completion or to its proper conclusion, then that is abandonment. But now the circumstances, you could see not all the players left. Some even had to intervene and get them
Sadio Mane called them back.
So what was the intention behind them
leaving?
Was it a protest or was it abandonment? So those are the kind of issues we would love to see CAS explore and tell us now, based on the facts and not just on the laws, what was the spirit behind giving this?
Absolutely. But from where you sit, where does this leave the integrity and credibility of CAF and of course AFCON and football generally in Africa?
So it's actually opened up a Pandora's box. Because there were rumblings even before the competition started that the choice of referees and match officials might have been compromised. Those were the rumblings. And now they were saying it's even showing up in not just the final, but the matches leading up to the the matches leading up to the final had several complaints as well about officiating. So that's opened up the problems that we're having in African sport, or rather in African football. That are we capable of ensuring we have competent match officials? Number one. Number two, it's also opened up scrutiny on how judicial bodies appoint their committee members. It's not very clear to everyone how individuals are appointed to these judicial bodies. Although Motsepe had come out and had done his statement, and he explained. He said, no, actually, we are trying something new, which, to be honest, is in line with what FIFA does. They get referrals from their member associations, and then based off those referrals, the separate committee which looks at the names and conducts its own private investigations or its private ethics checks, and then based on that pool, now they make the appointments to this judicial committees or judicial bodies. Now, the problem is all these things I've explained to you are very opaque, or rather it's very private. You will not know which names have been put forward. Number one, you will not know who's on the long list and who is on the short list. You will just be given, in the end, these are the people we have determined to adjudicate any problems that arise from African football. So it's even that, just a bit more transparency we're hoping. But I am positive because we're in an era where we can even question these things. And it's now there's a lot more debate about African football. Not just because of the things which are going on the pitch, but people are concerned about the governance mechanisms which brought us to this point. So for me, that's a positive, that the conversations are happening, and based on that, it will actually enable us to now look at the systems and put in some corrective measures.
And something you mentioned as well, for the Senegalese appeal, of course, going to CAS, it will take a bit of time. Now, in the meantime, now what does that mean? Of course, for do we to maintain the 3-0? When I Google, it's now updated. I don't know what does that mean.
And do they return the medals?
The trophy is
trophy kwa presidential palace.
So what would happen generally is, depending on when Senegal files. So let me go back a little bit. I don't know whether they've filed yet, because the first thing they need is to retrieve the full reasoned decision from CAF. What we received was just summary. The judgment.
And it is a statement.
Not just as it's the operative part of the judgment, which is what needs to be done. Okay, or what needs to be enforced. That's what we have. But what Senegal needs is the full reasoned decision showing how the committee arrived at that particular judgment. Okay. Now, once they receive that, time starts to run because they have a time limit by which they can go to apply in CAS. Upon application, one of the things that they can do is request for interim measures to suspend the enforcement of the appeal from CAF.
Okay.
Meaning we don't need to give back nothing. Y'all are not changing things on your website. We maintain status quo until this is resolved. So that's one of the things we're looking out for is, will they be given interim measures to suspend the enforcement of the CAF appeal decision? That's the first thing.
And by the, are there any ramifications on Senegal's side should they fail? If CAF tells them, return the trophy, return the medals, are there any other ramifications?
Okay. That would be interesting to see because it's not very clear from the rules what happens if you do not return. Because what the AFCON rules says, there's a trophy. The trophy is presented to the team which wins. They are allowed to keep that trophy up until 2 months before the next final opens. So essentially, because they were the ones who were presented with the trophy, not Morocco. That aspect of freezing the enforcement would allow them to keep it. That is, if they still have that trophy. For sure, they have their medals. The medals they can. It will be difficult. Are you coming to my house to take my medal away from me? That's very difficult. But with regard to the trophy, generally speaking, you're allowed to keep it up until 2 months before the next final opens. However, in practice, because a trophy is such a valuable thing, they will allow the teams to have it for celebration, but they retrieve it and keep it for safekeeping, just so that it doesn't get stolen. So, fun fact, the FIFA trophy that we know and love is not the original. There was a trophy called the Jules Rimet, Jules Rimet. It's a different trophy altogether. It was permanently given to Brazil after they won 3 World Cups. But it got stolen. And now they had to come up with
a new one.
They had the new one, but they allowed Brazil to keep the original. But now I think after that, it became important to safeguard or to secure the original trophy. So, and even why have you been to any trophy tours which have come to Kenya?
Yes, I did the Champions League.
All trophies have their own bodyguards.
Yes.
Those people,
the Premier League was
they will tackle you. They will tackle you to the ground if you get too close.
Yes, and you can't touch.
You cannot touch it. So these trophies are given some very special security. And so if the president of Senegal still has it, I'm pretty sure they'll give it even more security. That is, if it was not yet already given back for safekeeping by CAF.
Absolutely.
So, but I don't know if they would actually get even more offenses piled onto them if they didn't give it back, because now that's more political issue.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. Now let's leave AFCON kidogo. Let's talk about this menace called doping, and it's something that has really affected a lot of athletes in Kenya. Why do you think Kenyans athletes are always getting themselves into doping issues?
So I think it's number one, yes, we do have issues concerning doping rule violations. So it's important for me to explain there's a difference between doping and a doping rule violation. Okay? So doping in itself is any use of any substance or mechanism or method which will enhance performance. So whether it's through pharmaceutical enhancement, or even technological enhancement. Let's say you're cycling and you're using machinery which will help you cycle faster or reduce the effort. Or even now with, like I said, with fashion.
With the shoe as well.
Yeah, you can't run with a prototype shoe which everyone else does not have access to.
Yeah.
So things like that would form part of manipulating or enhancing the performance to influence the outcome, the sporting outcome. Now, doping violations come in a range.
Yeah.
It's not only this issue of use of methods and substances.
Yeah.
It's also that we have a compliance system. And in this compliance system, there are things such as your whereabouts filings. Okay, so what is a whereabouts filing?
Yeah.
If you are an athlete and you have been identified and added to something known as the registered testing pool, means you can be tested anytime, anywhere, any day, randomly.
Yeah.
However, by you being in the registered testing pool, you have an obligation to give information concerning where you can be found at least 1 hour every day, so that you can be tested, randomly tested.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're required to input these filings, I believe quarterly, but you have to do it within mid-month before the next quarter. So for example, if the first quarter starts in January, by mid-December you should have put in where you're going to be every day from January to March of the next year.
Yeah.
1 hour where you'll be available, so you give us your schedule and things like that. And all this is coordinated in a system called ADAMS, the Anti-Doping Administration Management System. That's the acronym. So if you're an athlete in a registered testing pool, you've been identified and added onto the RTP, you should have an obligation to input your whereabouts on ADAMS for every quarter.
Yeah.
Now the problem lies when, number one, some of our athletes are not technologically savvy. Secondly, some of our athletes are they are semi-literate. Or some of them are even illiterate. So not only are you asking me to input something using this technology, but a lot of the things they don't understand.
Yeah.
So we have that issue in Kenya, where we have a lot of talent, but they are either literate or semi-literate, and that actually contributes to them having whereabouts failures if they don't understand how to operate within the system. But even that has been compounded by the fact that now we no longer have free education. So the fact that even the issue of getting the education you need to understand something, English basically, because these things, ADAMS is in English and French, the system itself is in English and French, and maybe the language, the technicality of it would be difficult to understand for an average athlete. That also compounds the issue. So you will have a situation where when it comes to anti-doping rule violations such as whereabouts failures, there are so many things which can go wrong. Technology, maybe I'm so poor I can't even afford to file in time, I don't have the data, or maybe something has changed and I need to update my whereabouts, but I can't do it. All sorts of things go wrong. There's that. And then now there's also the issue of safeguarding when it comes to doping, because sometimes you have a situation where agents and sub-agents use the anti-doping system, or they weaponize it against the athlete. So for example, if an athlete is poor, or if an athlete is semi-literate, what they will do is they will give you an agent who will control your ADAMS and whereabouts. And they'll tell you, if ever we get into a conflict, me and the athlete, I will mess up your whereabouts so that you get a missed test. You will not be able to be found for those random tests. So it so happens that we have had situations where some of these whereabouts filings have been sabotaged by the agents of the athletes. So one of the things we really have to push for is for athletes to get tech savvy, or even have education about even the simplest tech, whether it's your phone, or can you even get into a cyber and learn how to do it on your own. Don't leave it up to a third party. So it's several things.
And maybe just to add on that, now there's this aspect where maybe an athlete did ingest something that they technically didn't know it has a banned substance, then akapatikana. And there's a lot of that, those as well.
Yes.
I know you've represented several athletes, and maybe some that is the case.
Yes.
Can you just tell us maybe from an athlete's perspective how that comes to be, and how can we now try and just mitigate that as well?
So when it comes to ingestion versus inject. So these are two separate things, but let me start with the ingestion. So ingestion, an athlete, according to anti-doping rules, is responsible for everything that goes into their body, and even on their body, because even creams might have something that's that is prohibited. However, there's two scenarios, and there are two cases specifically that I'm looking at, where you have a situation where a substance was introduced to the athlete's body without them knowing. First would be they ate something which contained, let's say in the animal feed, the animal was fed something which was prohibited. And then it shows up in your system. Even that trace amount which was in the animal feed can show up as doping. If your sample comes out as positive, of course you didn't know. There's no way you could have. But now what happened within the anti-doping world, they said if you're an athlete and you're traveling to these specific countries, it's now been known that these countries use this kind of chemicals within their animal feeds. So be aware that if you're traveling here, don't eat these types of foods. Number one, that's one of the ways. Secondly, contamination of supplements. So athletes take a lot of supplements, especially to recover. The problem with the supplement industry is that it's not regulated like the drugs and pharmaceuticals. They are completely different. They are nutritional based. They're more they are sort of managed by the rules of advertising more than they are by the regulations of drugs. Now, what do I mean by this? If you get a supplement, you need to disclose on the label the ingredients in a supplement. But what happens is something called hot batching, where the manufacturer of a supplement will introduce a prohibited substance in trace amounts to spike the actual supplement itself, so that now people keep coming back for it because it's so good. Now, when you have a case of hot batching, what you want to do is, or if an athlete suspects that their sample showed up positive because of their supplements, there are certain WADA, World Anti-Doping Agency accredited labs which can actually help test those supplements to check for prohibited substances. So that's one of the things we did with Marco Cheno's case, and it proved without a shadow of a doubt this was clear contamination, and he's one of those athletes who was very, very diligent in what was coming into his body. So that's how we actually managed to find out, oh, it's this one, because we now sent out quite a number of supplements for testing to the US, because there are very few WADA accredited labs around the world. But all this to say, please be careful what you ingest. But again, now this one is a little bit cheeky. Be also careful about who you relate with relationally, because we've had some very strange cases of athletes having a transfer of a prohibited substance through kissing. So if you are involved in intimate relationships.
I think kuna simu hapa from a caller who is ana insist sana. Hello SportyFM.
SportyFM.
Yes, SportyFM tunaongea na nani?
Ni Collins kutoka Mombasa. Joshua, habari?
Tuko salama Collins. Mombasa kuko namna gani?
Mombasa kwema, mvua nyingi.
Tuko hapa na Sara, tuambie.
Salimia kwanza Malkia Hilda.
Nimesalimika.
Mhadhiri, naona mhadhiri wakili yupo area sivyo?
Kabisa.
Yes.
Naomba msalimie sana. Nina swali.
Yes.
Kuhusu ile kesi ya Gor na muungano wa Nairobi United.
Nairobi United.
Ile force majeure. Force majeure kuna kitu kama hiyo. Inagumu kweli jamani. Hivi yeye ni kati ya miongoni ya wale wenye walikuwa wanaamua, kwa sababu nimesikia yeye sijini wakili kwa nini kwa FKF. Ni miongoni mwa wale members wa hiyo bodi yenye ilikuwa inaamua, ama anawezaje zungumzia kuhusu hicho kitu? Ni situation gani inaweza changia kitu iwe force majeure hivyo? Hatukuelewa, naomba atufafanulie vizuri kwa sababu ule uamuzi wao hatukuelewa vizuri.
Sawa.
Tafadhali aguzie hapo.
Asante sana Collins.
Karibuni.
Force majeure. Kabla tujaguzia force majeure, maliza tu the statement you're making, then sasa tuingie kwa force majeure.
Okay. So yes, intimate relations can also lead to anti-doping violations through transfer of prohibited substances. So I usually tell athletes also be very selective about who you deal with. Extremely selective, because now, for example, if it's just so happens that your significant other is taking medication or recreational substances, it would be good to know who your significant other is, because sometimes you have someone who is non-monogamous, let's put it that way, playing the field, and is not able to detect who amongst those he or she has been relating with might have been the source of it. So be careful.
My last question on this doping, now that we have seen so many of Kenyan athletes being suspended for doping related issues, do you think the athletics integrity unit is a bit fair to these athletes?
Okay, so I can't say about them being fair because their job is to ensure compliance. And when it comes to doping, compliance, let's treat doping the same way as like traffic offenses, because it's strict liability. That's the best example I can give you. If you are going to be a driver, you understand the traffic rules that you must obey. And if you break them, then you are going there are consequences. You can't say, I didn't know the rules, or I didn't, I wasn't aware of this. No. There'll be consequences to follow. So AIU is like the policeman, saying the rules are here, either you follow them, ama uwekwe ndani. But kuwekwa ndani in this case is to be suspended and you won't be able to participate in competition. So
force majeure.
Force majeuri. Force majeuri. Yes. So I unfortunately I cannot answer Collins in conclusively or comprehensively for the following reasons. The particular decision he's talking about emanated from the leagues and competitions committee. As a different committee than the one that I sit on, which is the disciplinary committee, which has two pending cases against those two clubs as we speak, which is why I cannot comment too much about it. So let's put it that way. Leave it to that for now. But force majeure is, just for any other listener who is unaware of what the hell are you people talking about, it's an unforeseen circumstance which no one could predict. For example, change in weather, or unrest, or war, or conflict, like just a major event which which was unforeseeable and unpredictable, which would change the manner in which a a match or a game would be played to completion. So that's essentially that's what it is.
And do you like the idea of our sports, and so let's use football in this case, results issues being determined in the judicial system? Because right now, even this game, it went even to the High Court of Kenya.
Okay, let's talk about this. So this is very interesting because now we are looking. I've been very fortunate now to come back to FKF. Having the insight on what happens at FIFA, to help reset some of the regulations and redraft them. One of the things we are looking forward to with the new administration is how can we resolve football issues within the football ecosystem and not leave it out to be determined by the state courts. So we are working on regulations, hopefully, which will bring about the Football Kenya Tribunal. Now the Football Kenya Tribunal is hopefully going to house all these committees you're hearing about, whether it's the leagues and competitions, whether it's the arbitration, whether it's player status, whether it's disciplinary, whether it's the appeals, so that this tribunal will be tasked with handling football matters from start to finish, from end to end. And we're also looking at a situation whereby we will engage with the judiciary to now have a case migration of any pending cases which are dealing with football to come back into the football ecosystem, so that it's dealt with in this ecosystem and not outside.
Such that the decision is final.
Yes, and not just final, but there are certain things which, because of the laws. So, for example, the Sports Act, the Anti-Doping Act. According to the Sports Act, we have to acknowledge and also accede to the jurisdiction of the Sports Tribunal, especially when it comes to the rights of athletes, when it comes to their right to appeal a decision based on national team selection. We go there. Also, things to do with governance. When there's an issue concerning disputes, electoral disputes, if a federation does not have the mechanisms of arbitration or appeals, then that can be taken to the Sports Disputes Tribunal, so long as the federation agrees to it and the members within that federation agree for that determination to be made by SDT. Beyond that, all federations within Kenya not only must agree to the jurisdiction of SDT, but also the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So whether or not you agree with the decision which is made within this Football Kenya Tribunal, the pathway will be, let's exhaust the mechanisms within the Football Kenya Tribunal. And if you completely must, then go towards the pathway of the Court of Arbitration for Sport rather than
the
normal courts. But then also there's a distinction between national level disputes and international level disputes. So, for example, Football Kenya Tribunal might not be able to listen to a dispute concerning a coach of the national team if that coach is not Kenyan. So that dispute would fall to FIFA and not to the Football Kenya Tribunal.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yes, and there's of course a bill, the sports, not a bill that is in Parliament to criminalize, of course, match fixing and all that. I think sahi karibu niko face ya public participation. Yes. How big of a deal is that?
Okay. This bill is very ambitious. But let me stick to match fixing, because match fixing is also a core problem within African sport. And this bill has introduced an aspect of match fixing which is interesting, because for the first time we are criminalizing what match fixing is. We're making it a criminal offense. But what this bill has done is the investigating and prosecution of match fixing is within the the ambit of, if I'm not mistaken, the National Sports Regulation Authority. But also there seems to be some sort of overarching function with Sports Kenya. So there are certain things which I hope that the Parliament will discuss and now try and separate who is in charge of investigating match fixing and who is in charge of prosecuting it, especially now that you've criminalized it. It will have to go through the Attorney General's office. So those are the procedures and how do we handle it. Very important. And now that it is being criminalized, you will have a dual track system where an individual who's found to have been involved in match fixing or suspected will go through both a disciplinary process and that's sporting sanctions, meaning you'll be suspended from participating in sport, but you also go through a criminal process, which is you might end up in prison. But those are two different
things,
punishments.
But Sarah, what it aims to cure the ills of match fixing and stuff like that. One of the reason why someone might get into match fixing is money.
Yes.
If money is still not going to be in the sport, how will this really cure completely?
Yeah. So match fixing is interesting because sometimes it's not always money. Sometimes it is just that the culture of the club is that we fix matches. So you might be a young person, umeingia your first contract you've signed. Suddenly everyone this is what we do. That's you don't know anything else. Mimi niliingia tu
hivi ndio tunafanyanga hapa.
Hivi ndio kunaendanga. So mimi niliingia tu, I didn't know. So we need to start from education of, hey, listen, if someone comes to you and tells you these are the red flags you need to look out for to know that you're actually involved with match fixing, otherwise you'll be doing it without full knowledge of what's happening. Number one. So sometimes it's not always about money. But when it comes to money, and this is what I've said about sports in general, by design, sports is largely a vehicle which is used to transfer wealth between those who are involved in the organization of sports, the organizers, and not necessarily the participants. That's why we ask, okay, people say there's all these billions and billions which sport generates. Why doesn't it trickle down to
the player?
Like, what happens? Like, by design, sports has a budget to create a spectacle, to market, to do all these things, and all these things cost money. But at the very end, it's not designed to pay those who are on the field commensurate to the spectacle that they are presenting for the rest of us as fans and the public. So that it's how the system is designed is not conducive to allow for players to actually receive commensurate value for what they're doing. And that's a larger, I think that's a larger issue which can be tackled over, let's say, 50 years. It's not going to be changed overnight. So we'll do it slowly. First of all, get people with the right kind of mind to change or flip the pyramid over, which is why it's really important. Also, now let's talk about women's football. Some people don't think women's football needs a budget because they feel like they don't bring us enough. We don't watch enough women's football. But if you do not give the funds for them to actually play, how do you not know that people will be attracted to watch it? I mean, the Starlets, they got a crowd. Starlets are the first Kenyan team in football to take us to a World Cup. So of course people are watching, and it doesn't matter whether it's women on the pitch or men. It's just that some people prefer to use the funds which come into to go maybe to the men's sport. But I know there are people within football who are really, really pushing for the budgets to be now aligned towards let's ensure there's proper payment of players. Let's make sure there's proper training whether it's the technical team are also well compensated, so that even the technical team does not fall onto the ills of match fixing, because they are also a touch point when it comes to recruitment of players and other match officials.
It's now 12. Wacha tupate sporty updates, then tukirudi Sarah will give us a parting shot and maybe a word of inspiration to a young girl who might want to follow your path. Okay. Tupate sporty updates.
Look out! Home run! Top story hits, no misses. The Sporty Update on SportyFM.
Kenya's men's and women's wheelchair basketball teams are in Luanda, Angola for the Africa Senior Championship, where they will compete in the 5x5 and 3x3 formats with qualification sports for the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland, and the World Championship in Ottawa at stake. Backed by a blend of youth and experience, including players from the recent Under-20 silver winning side, the teams will face stiff continental competition as they aim to secure direct qualification places and strengthen Kenya's presence on the global stage.
Yes, and Borussia Dortmund have confirmed the departure of sporting director Sebastian Kehl by mutual agreement, bringing an end to his nearly 4-year spell in the role. The surprise exit comes just days after Kehl discussed summer transfer plans, with reports linking Dortmund to Marcus Kroos as a potential replacement.
The 2026 Enterprise Cup semi-finals are set for the 11th April 2026, headlined by a high-stakes Rai derby between Cabras Sugar and Menengai Oilers after both sides posted dominant quarter-final wins. Elsewhere, Stanbic Bank Pirates will face nondescript RFC, with Cabras holding a recent edge over Oilers following their Kenya Cup victory as the race for a place in the final intensifies.
Yes, and Sebastian Korda stunned world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz with a 6-3, 5-7, 6-4 victory to knock him out of the Miami Open in the third round. Korda, ranked 36th, held his nerve after missing a chance to close the match in second set, breaking in the decider before sealing his first win over the top-ranked player, while Elena Rybakina advanced to the last 16 with a straight set win.
That's the Sporty Updates, 2 minutes after 12.
Look out! Home run! Top story hits, no misses. The Sporty Update on SportyFM.
Yes, and this is of course the break point here on SportyFM. We are here with Sarah Ochwada, FIFA Tribunal Judge and Vice Chairperson of the Player Status Chamber. And just before you give us your parting shot, Taka will talk if I don't ask you this. Double jeopardy. A ban has been put, I've served a ban. Let's say kama hii anti-doping ya WADA. Then now, can Kenya also, the Athletics Kenya, can they also come and say, okay, you have finished this? Can they also come up and also punish me further?
No. In fact, I had a double jeopardy case in 2016 where the athlete, prior to the anti-doping, prior to ADAC being formed, Athletics Kenya had its own anti-doping panel and committee to listen and determine anti-doping cases. So this athlete had gone through that process and was given a 2-year suspension. And then immediately ADAC was formed. They brought her back and now were attempting to prosecute her through ADAC and the Sports Disputes Tribunal. So which we properly now we defended her and said this is absolutely double jeopardy. You cannot punish a person twice for the same set of facts and offenses. Absolutely not.
Haiwezekani.
No.
I mean, for me, finally, something that caught my attention, and you mentioned earlier, it's about doping shoes. I want to know what you mean. So,
there's a Kenyan athlete, what's his name? Oh my goodness, I'd actually represented him in anti-doping, and then we got his doping reduced. Madheka, I believe. He unfortunately went to run abroad, did not have shoes. So he went and just bought shoes from wherever it was and then used them and won the race, I think. But now it was found that those shoes were prototype shoes. So he was disqualified and his winnings were
ilichukuliwa.
So the rule is,
Yes.
You cannot run with prototype shoes which are not available to access by everyone else, which is why Nike and Adidas go through a lot of technical trainings, etc., before they actually introduce a shoe to an athlete on track. Otherwise, it would give them undue advantage. Whether it's the sometimes now intellectual property rules come in, where they have patented or protected a specific technology or a specific material or a specific design behind a shoe, which will actually make you feel like you're flying.
Because I remember there was that conversation in terms of the Nike, the Superfly.
Yes,
and I remember it was maybe when Eliud was planning or almost running the two. There was that conversation about, I think that is when the Nike had released that shoe.
There was a version of the shoe which was released, but a version which now Kipchoge was actually testing. So I don't have the. You know how you wish you had the tea? Kuna chai ingine haifai kichungi. That's what I wanted to know. Like, stop holding information from. I wish we knew which shoe,
which was
which version of the shoe was he using for the under 2. But those are very interesting things around sports fashion.
Fantastic.
The last one, word of inspiration to a young girl listening to you right about now, and of course wondering how they can also follow the path that you've taken.
I would say, because my path is very, I feel like I'm on a side quest. And I'll explain why. I followed my curiosity, I didn't follow my passion. Like, my passion is fashion. But it just so happened that when I was in law school, in Kenya School of Law, I was introduced to a rugby player in a city hopper on my way back home. And at that time, I was dabbling in entertainment law because, surprise, surprise, I was also Miss Catholic University. So I decided, let me use my title and my knowledge to help those within the entertainment industry. But a good friend told me, entertainment law and sports law are close allies. You might want to go down this path and check. So when he introduced me to the rugby player who was playing for the national team, he was like, just go and check out this particular subject because it might interest you. So I followed curiosity down a road and another road and another road, and you keep meeting people to the point where I was involved with the drafting of the first Sports Act, very randomly. But you need to bring back for another day. But all this to say, follow your curiosity. Be open to the challenges. This is not a profession. I look glamorous, but the job is not glamorous. It is both. It is as fun as it is frustrating because of the characters that you have to deal with every day. It is also heartbreaking when you have to counsel your athletes or your clients whenever there's a heartbreaking loss or whenever there's a determination made against them, and they're the bloodline or the financial providers of their families. It's very heartbreaking. And also use the context of your life to propel you forward. My path is not the same as yours. You might even do way better than where I am, and I hope you do, but use the context of your life to navigate. You have all the ingredients. You can make it.
You still play tennis?
So very, very interesting. You brought that up. Tennis, I was coached for 6 years, and then I was like, I'm done. But I do wear the outfits. So right now I'm interested. Archery is my sport. I don't play it as much, but I need to go back. In fact, I need to go back, and those who coached me in archery were Kuki Anwar, who was the first Kenyan to go to archery to the Olympic as archer, and she was a flag bearer. I will be back.
Absolutely,
I will be back. The prodigal daughter will return.
Fantastic.
Asante sana Sarah for finding time to come and speak to us.
Karibu, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, tukikuita tena,
so
please
yes.
do it tena na tena. That has been our conversation here on the Breakpoint with Sarah Ochwada, FIFA Tribunal Judge, and of course Vice Chairperson of the Players Status Chamber. And of course, amesema kwamba use the context of your life to propel you. Time now is 10 minutes after